Well, thank you all for joining us this evening as we welcome you to our virtual open house event for our biotechnology program here at Alamance Community College. We're excited about tonight and the prospects for our program and talking a little bit about our past and highlighting some of our students and our recent alumni. And so to get things started this evening, I'd like to turn it over to Michelle Sabone, who is our department head for biotechnology and biosciences here at Alamance Community College. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Yanni. So the way we're gonna, this is laid out tonight, we'll have all of our student and graduate speakers present first, and they will kind of tell their story and share with you how our program has impacted their lives. And then after that's over, at about 6:30, we have a presentation that will give you more information about the program, and Dr. Van Hoonick and I will go through that with you. And then if we finish up around 6:50, 6:55, we'll open it up for questions. You can share your questions via chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your question. Once some of those have been answered, we'll create a breakout room, and we have Ms. Ashley Pryor from admissions, which will be here to help you with any of your admissions questions, financial aid questions, anything related to your entry into Alamance Community College. And then Dr. Van Hoonick and I will stay in the main room and answer any advising questions if you have any of those. So Yanni will be our moderator through the student and graduate panel discussion. So I'll have him start with that.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. So to get us started tonight, we'd like to introduce you to Eddie Ade. And Eddie comes to us from a military background. He came to us in the program from working in very special circumstances and had a degree before he came to us. So we'd like to hear a little bit about Eddie and his successful career path and how it all started here at Alamance Community College and our biotech program. So Eddie?
Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, hi, my name is Guy Day, or Eddie. That's what most people call me. And I actually did come from not only military, but also working from the State Department overseas. I actually fell into almost literally biotech because I was taking some science classes at ACC and I had to be in a program, and the biotech program had the core science classes I needed in order for the VA to pay for that additional training. And it was only after my first year that I really became interested in biotech and realized how big the industry really is in North Carolina. I mean, we're number 3 in the country, over 700 companies, 70,000 plus jobs and climbing. Fuji Diosynth just got approved and are building a $1.5 billion facility in RTP, I think is the latest one. So it's a big, big deal. Personally, I graduated in 2018 with the AAS in biotechnology, and then 2020 with the AAS in agricultural biotechnology, which is a program that the biotech program runs with the horticulture department. And the whole experience was really interesting for me. I'm a big science nerd. I like biology and chemistry. Cell culture is by far my favorite. Specifically plant cell culture with mammalian cell culture running close second, just because I like the hands-on science part of it. Got to meet and work with a lot of great people that I still stay in touch with to this day, as far as both staff and students, former students, faculty. It's a really great program that over the years we try to stay in touch and help each other out even now. So I work at Pfizer now within our new gene therapy department. And it's a great job. I came in actually as like a 4 level based on my education and then a couple years of experience I had working as a biotech lab manager at the college, which is almost a $70,000 a year job at that level. I think is pretty much where I'll be for this year. We've had students that hadn't even graduated yet get hired in the same department as me as a 3, and they got hired on at $25 an hour, full benefits with an associate's degree. So the return on investment for the AAS and biotechnology is really, really high. And it's not just the AAS level. It doesn't have to be a terminal degree. You'll hear from Caroline, and she's taken her degree and transferred to UNCG to finish her 4-year degree. So it's what I always used to tell people when I was doing recruiting was that there's some place in biotech for everybody, all the way from the 2-year degree through a PhD, if that's something you want to do. And a lot of the big companies will actually pay for your school if you get hired. I know Pfizer themselves, they reimburse up like $10,000 a year for tuition. I know a lot of the big names, Biogen, are the same way. So you can start, pay cash for your AAS and work your way up and have your company pay for it. I don't regret it. It's one of the, even though it was a chance for me, like it wasn't by design, I can't imagine not being in a better place.
So Eddie, let me ask you this. As a student and also as a lab manager, talk a little bit about the over 700 hours of hands-on lab experience the students receive and how that really translates to industry.
Yeah, and so that's the big deal. And one of the things with industry is having that experience and being able to know the different types of, not necessarily labware, but being able to read an SOP and like transfer that knowledge into a practical sort of performance. And that starts, from the very first class. You take BTC 181, which is your intro to, was it lab work? Anyway, I can't remember what it's called. But that's like your basic introduction to biotech and working in a lab. And so you're starting on from day one, hands-on in a lab setting, working with the tools of your trade. And yeah, over the course of 2 years, between your BTC classes and biology and chemistry, the time adds up. And so by the time you're finished, you are comfortable and qualified to go and begin a career. And that's not that you're going to stop learning. You can't think that you're going to go in and be like, oh, I know everything. You're basically just to the point where you know what you don't know. I think they call that cognitive incompetence, I think is where that's called as far as on the scale of learning goes. That's kind of where you are. So you get to the point where at least then you know the things you don't know, and then your company is going to teach you the rest of the stuff.
Well, thank you very much, Eddie. Certainly glad to have you with us tonight. And so next, let's transition over to Caroline Diaz. Caroline,
Yanni, I have one save round real quick.
Sure.
I have to get off, but I told Michelle, if anybody has any questions specifically for like an adult learning experience or transitioning military or anything that's kind of like in my wheelhouse, I told Michelle, feel free to give out my email address and they can email me directly, and I'll do my best to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Eddie, and thank you for joining us tonight. So
right.
let's turn it over to Caroline. Eddie mentioned Caroline. Caroline is continuing her education after ACC in the biotechnology program, and she wants to tell you a little bit about her personal journey and her career story.
Yes, so thank you for the introduction, Yanni. I did graduate this past July, technically, and kind of in the middle of the pandemic. I did have to finish out everything. I may have not finished out the way I wanted it to, but it's okay. I did learn a lot and far more than I should have, especially in a pandemic. So yes, I graduated. I stayed one more semester doing more gen eds so I could transfer to UNCG. Now I only have a year and a half to graduate. So it's not the full 2 years if you keep doing classes here at ACC. It was super cheap for me. I have zero student loan debt. That's what matters to me right now. But yes, I'm pursuing a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in biology with a biotechnology concentration at UNCG. I used to be a TA at ACC doing cell culture, and I co-taught a couple of classes with Dr. Eddie doing microbiology and as well as the beginner class for basic lab techniques. So yeah.
So Caroline, let me ask you this. What was the trigger that kind of came to you to say, I need to go back to college and I need to study biotechnology specifically?
So in high school, my senior year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work in a lab. I did a job shadowing for a pharmacy tech, but then I was like, this is not for me. I needed something more hands-on, more groundbreaking research kind of stuff. That's what I like to do. And when I went to CTech, which is a collaborative school for all the other high schools within Alamance County. I took a class called Biomedical Technology. And so they took us to the biotechnology program at ACC, and that's where I met Michelle. And I got to learn more about the program, and that's where I decided the spring of 2018 to enroll for biotechnology at ACC.
And let me ask you this, Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
What are you most proud of your time at ACC and where this has taken you?
Yeah, so I did an internship with Flexcell International, and I did a lot of hands-on cell culture work with mammalian cells, stem cells, and it was pretty neat. It has made me feel very confident in the lab, and I did get a offer from JSNN, the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanotechnology in Greensboro, to work with one of the professors, to work under her, one of her undergraduates, to do mammalian cell culture.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what words of wisdom would you give someone who's considering ACC and or the biotech program?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be afraid of the math. It's not that bad. It is a little bit of a uphill climb, especially if you don't know what biotechnology is. Take it from me, an example, like I had a huge passion for biology. I took all the biologies in high school, including AP biology, and it didn't stop me from there. I kept looking. I wanted to keep going, and that's where it led me to ACC.
How about the support staff, Michelle and Dr. Eddie and others? How do they help when there's a challenge or trouble with math, or you maybe have been away from school for a while? How do they typically help students?
Well, of course they have to teach it first, but they really do help you. I wouldn't say they spoon feed you, but they do have to, Michelle's like, no, we don't spoon feed. But they are very supportive. They teach you how to do it on your own. And that's what's very important, especially in the industry or in research alone.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your comments, and thank you again, and congratulations on your advancement there at UNCG.
Thank you, Yanni.
All right. Well, next we've got a special story from Marilyn Awewe, and she has a really cool story about her transition from the other side of the globe. And would like to turn it over to Marilyn to tell you a little bit about her very unique global story.
Okay, thank you, Yanni. I will start by saying that going through this program was really interesting because I can say you start from being dependent, like asking questions to Michelle, having your laptop open or your syllabus to an independent person. You really get it quickly. It's like we have that team spirit, and then you become more curious by the time you want to discover more about machines. You even learn how to troubleshoot things. So that was really interesting. And then, as Carolina said, you feel confident because now you may start by wondering, what am I doing now? And then asking Michelle, can we do this? Because I think it's really interesting. And then that was really something I liked about the biotech program. The labs are really interesting. And the fact that we have all those machines is really interesting.
Well, Marilyn, you came from a foreign land and you spoke a different language, so you really had some unique challenges ahead of you. So how was that, and what did you do to overcome those challenges?
I think, first of all, since I'm not like Carolina, I was paying my fees. I think that was one of the motivation. I knew that I couldn't like do one class twice. One that was first, and then it was really interesting, and you get the support you need. You have the writing center. You have, I think, all the professors. When you don't get it, they're really present to help you more. And I think it's just the way you are motivating about the program. And then if you really like you want to succeed, it's really easy for me because I think even as an international student, I had struggled with English, and then I tried to do my best. I think someone who is already born here, that won't be difficult for the person to really integrate.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what have you learned about yourself by taking on this challenge and going through the course?
When you want it, you will do it. That's for sure. Because when I started, I saw people, because I also know people, they really just gave up. Like, this is too hard. Because as an international student, you have to take at least 12 credits. And then that's sometimes may feel too much. Not because it's really hard, just because it's time consuming, and then everything is important. You don't have to neglect one class over another. But I think when you try to get help and then organize your time, you will just do it. And I'm proud of myself.
Well, from a global perspective, how did you find out about ACC and the biotech program, and how did we come on your radar for you to find us?
Actually, I didn't really find out about ACC. I had my brother who studied here at Lincoln Memorial University. Then when he graduated, he came here. He was looking, and then someone else told him about there's a really good college. They have biotech program. I think she will like it. I was like, okay, let me just do it, try. I mean, I started by saying, let me try it. And then I was like, I will do it. This is really, yeah.
Well, what to wrap it up with you, what words of wisdom would you share with anyone that's considering ACC and the biotech program?
What I can say, do not procrastinate. That's the first thing, because it's easy to procrastinate. And I think just use all the help that is available, because everybody is there for you. And I say everybody is really everybody. So the more you talk to your teachers, I think you will succeed for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Marilyn. You really have a very intriguing story. So thank you for being part of it.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to turn it over and talk with Misty Shaw. And Misty also has a very unique story. Misty is currently working in industry, and she is a reverse articulation student that she actually comes back to ACC and will graduate in the near future. So Misty, please tell us a little bit about your story and your unique challenges and pathway to come to ACC in our program.
Good evening. Thank you, Yanni. My name is Misty, as Yanni stated. I started out many years ago in the biology program at a four-year college. Due to circumstances, I did not complete the program. However, I went straight into the workforce, started in the industry, got lucky, actually got a position in the industry without having the four-year degree. Have been there 25 years and have progressed through promotions while I've been there. I've kind of plateaued with the program, with promotions there at work. So they suggested that I go back and get my degree. So of course I started looking at different programs. I thought about going back to the four-year route. Then I thought about, at my age, should I really consider doing 4-year or a 2-year program? Luckily on my job, they only require that you have a 2-year degree. So I said, well, let me look at ACC. and see what programs are out there available for me. So I was looking through the ACC course catalog and came across the biotech program. I was originally in biology, so I was like, oh, that sounds very interesting compared to what I've already been exposed to. So I set up a meeting with, I think I met with Michelle, enrolled in, took advising with Michelle, enrolled in the program, and as they say, the rest is history. I've enjoyed my time at ACC. It's been actually a very wonderful experience for me, compared to being in a 4-year setting versus the program at ACC. It's been more hands-on experience for me, and I've learned more, in my opinion, based on the two environments.
Well, yours is a unique story, Misty, and it's one that we certainly are very proud of. And I'd like to hear from your perspective, how has the training and the learning that's taken place here translated into your current work position?
No, actually, in my current role, I do work for one of the companies in the area, LabCorp, and you would think that I would work actually in the lab, but I do not work in the lab right now. So that does not, the techniques that I'm learning do not actually affect my job currently. But when I started at LabCorp, my goal was to go into the lab. So I'm now currently looking at positions in the lab instead of, I originally started out as, okay, I'm just going to advance in the position I'm in right now. So I'm gonna go back to school and look at that and start that way. But now that I've actually taken classes, got reacclimated back into the lab setting, I'm thinking that I might start looking at labs positions at LabCorp. I mean, with COVID-19 pandemic hitting, there are more opportunities with LabCorp in that field, in the field of biotechnology.
Well, I know,
ways to progress.
well, I know you are definitely on the front lines related to the pandemic and do such great work there. So what would you say you're most proud of for your time here at ACC and moving towards completing this journey?
Honestly, I would have to say, because I do currently work, and I say that as I am a full-time employee at LabCorp. So I take classes part-time. So I am most proud of the fact that I have been able to maintain in my classes. And that's because of the wonderful staff at ACC. They work with you, and it's easy to work with them. And especially when you have a hectic schedule like mine, because I take my lunch breaks and come to class and work out that way. And then I have to leave class and rush back and log back into work, so that I'm constantly getting my 40 hours and getting my schoolwork done. So I'm very proud of the fact that I have successfully so far maintained and been able to juggle that course, the schedule, the whole time I've been at ACC. And again, I do give all props to the teachers and staff at ACC, because working with the staff and the hands-on experience and the flexibility of, if you can't get your labs done now, they'll let you come in at a different time and get them done if they're there. So it's just all been, like I said, it's a wonderful experience. That's what I'm most proud of. So
Misty, from your perspective, you attended a major 4-year school and studied biology, and now you've studied biotechnology at ACC. Did you feel like you were one of a number of hundreds of people at the 4-year school, and you have a lot more individual attention here, or was it a kind of a question of being in a 200-person classroom at the 4-year university, or how does it relate to your experience here?
In my opinion, it has definitely equated to a little bit more personal hands-on experience as far as the smaller classroom sizes at ACC. I feel like I learned a whole lot more and can understand the concepts of the lab work better than when I was at a 4-year school, simply because you have a whole classroom of people in a lab. At a 4-year school with more than, right now, I think the most that's been in my classes at ACC has maybe been 8 students in the lab at one time. And so I feel like that has benefited me more because I had more one-on-one time with the teachers.
Well, thank you very much, Misty.
Oh,
and to end on the note that I've asked others, what would you say to any prospective student who's considering the program?
I would say definitely go for it. The program is an excellent program. You learn so much information and you have a lot of hands-on experience. It's definitely a good experience to have. So I definitely push, if you're interested in biotech or even just interested in science, it is a great program to be in. I started out in just regular biology, and it goes hand in hand, but biotech gives you more of a different realm of understanding with biology than just being in a normal biology lab.
Well, thank you so much, Misty, and thank you for sharing your unique story with us and your success story as well.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to turn it back over to Michelle, and she has the next part of tonight's program.
All right, thank you, Yanni. Thank you, students and graduates. That was phenomenal. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and I certainly hope it works. Can everybody see Alamance Community College?
Yes, we can.
Yay. Okay, so Dr. Van Hoonick and I will go through and kind of give you an overview of the way our programs work at ACC and all of the different advantages and opportunities you have. So Dr. Van Hoonick will start, if I can get my computer on. There we go.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Eddie Van Hoonick. I'm originally from the Netherlands, by the way, and got my PhD in biochemistry. And I'm one of the instructors here at ACC. So my background itself, I've done a lot of industry, I've done a lot of medical parts. I basically help you all out through your courses. And all of the students that we had tonight, I'm very proud that I had them as my students. I think they succeeded great. They were very great students, and I can see bright futures for all of them. And thank you all for coming here. I really appreciate all the nice words that you had to say about the program and all of the good work that you have been doing yourself. So let's start off with the overview of the biotechnology field. So we have several programs. On the left-hand side, we see BioWorks. BioWorks is a specific industry standard continuing ed course with a BioWorks certificate, which is required at this moment by quite a lot of industry partners that we're dealing with. This will enter you into a biotech field. When you have this BioWorks certificate, you show that you have the beginnings of working in a lab. So you have the basic necessity of working in a lab. It's a really interesting in-depth course. It's 128 hours. There's a lot of different fields that we're going into. And this is basically for anybody who wants to come into the program. You can have a little bit of science experience, but you can also have somebody who has never been a scientist, who was working in a fast food chain, who was working as a truck driver, who was working as a landscape artist. We can have a lot of different people who can come into the program. And when they want to start their journey into science, they can get this program, they can get this certificate. And this certificate is a recognized certificate throughout the state of North Carolina. You have to take it outside of ACC though, the exam is in another location. And you go there and then you take this certificate. And with that certificate, it opens the door to a lot of these technician positions. You're coming out, you're ready to do the technician positions, you're ready to do a lot of these screening processes that we talked about. A lot of our students that take the other degree, the real degree, the longer degree, when they take a few of the first level programs, they can then sit for the BioWorks exam. So there are several possibilities to do that. You don't have to just take the BioWorks certificate. You can also take the BioWorks certificate if you already have done some of our core courses. That gives you the background which you need. We also have diploma and certificate programs. This is not a complete AA program. These are just individual small certificate programs. We have basic lab techniques, which basically does exactly what it says. It shows you the beginning of the lab techniques, how to work, how to sterilize material, how to work under sterile conditions, how to create solutions, how to make stuff work. And that's a big deal for a lot of scientists. People come in and they guess a lot. So certificate programs does have some math in it. I know some people are not happy with math, but like Caroline was saying, it is not that bad, and we will help you through it. Another thing that I like to do is basically make math fun. Math can be fun. I love math myself. But a lot of you do math on a daily basis. You go shopping and then there is a discount. And you know exactly how much you have to pay. That's math. When you see a 40% discount on something that costs $60, most of you will know exactly what the price is going to be. That is math. And our math is not much more difficult than that. So if you can do that, then you can do all of our math. We also have bioinformatics, which is a little bit more analyzing the material, analyze the data that we got. One of the fields of bioinformatics, which you don't teach you, but you can go to the higher level programs, is basically analyzing stuff that comes from sequences, gene sequences. So these are then doing bioinformatics, figuring out the data, the science, the math behind biology. Then we have the advanced lab technician. These are for people who already have the background. They know already a little bit how to work in the lab. They can already do these techniques. They can make solutions. They can work under sterile conditions. This is more for the really advanced technique, when we're dealing with cultures, when we're dealing with keeping cultures running, keeping things sterile, getting all of our products ready for pharmaceutical industry. So now we're talking about the advanced lab technique. The other programs that we have are our AA programs. We have our biotechnology program, our core program. Here you learn cell culture. Here you learn bioprocessing techniques. Here you learn the paperwork which is needed to work in this field. A lot of people do forget that biotechnology is a strictly regulated field when we're going into pharmaceuticals. So we're dealing with stuff that goes into humans, and it has to be done correctly. So we have to work on the FDA guidelines, on the GMP, good manufacturing processing, and GLP, good laboratory processes. So we need to follow all of these rules. And unfortunately, there's a lot of paperwork that is involved with that. So we're teaching you how to properly do that paperwork and why it is so important to do the paperwork. And at the same time, we're teaching you techniques that are used in the industry. We're using with food products, we're using with medical products, we're using with cell culture. All of these things are necessary to work in those fields. And then we have our AgBio, Agriculture Biotechnology. That is together with Elizabeth Riley from our horticulture program. I saw Liz in the list of attendees. So hello, Liz, and thank you for being here. She's in charge of this program, and this basically has to do with a lot of culturing our material, getting cell cultures going, getting plant cultures going, and basically working in the field of agriculture biotechnology, which is a hugely important field here in North Carolina. We started off, North Carolina is, in historical speaking, an agricultural state. We lost quite a lot of agriculture because of people going away from tobacco and things like that. But now we're going back into this field. We have great soil, we've got great temperatures, we got great conditions for that. So these are all our certificates, CONET programs, and degrees that we're having. And I think Michelle is up. But you were muted.
Yes, I got it. Thank you. So basically, the way we have this laid out is trying to get it streamlined so students can move through the different certification programs, certificates, and then get the 2-year degree. So the bioprocess or biowork course is probably the shortest course. That's a 12-week class that you can get done in less than a semester. That also gives you credit for our basic laboratory techniques course. That's our intro course. So you've already now gained a credential and started on your pathway into the basic lab technique certificate. We also have a high school pathway that's called the Career and College Promise, or CCP, biotechnology pathway. So students in high school can take our basic lab technique certificate for free. And we offer those courses in conjunction with Graham High School. And they are currently taking the basic lab techniques course on our campus this semester. So those are equivalent. Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
And in that case, these students are actually intertwined with are normal college students. So they get the same experience. That is the background of this program. They're getting the same experience. When they're done, they already have 4 courses under their belt. And these are courses that they don't have to pay for if they go into college. So that's a huge progress already. And they have a lot of experience already in college. So they're ready to go into college. A lot of, I don't know how many of you just went through high school or just finished high school. A lot of time when you in high school, people are basically giving you the information. They are really making sure that all the experiments will work. And unfortunately, in biotechnology, in sciences, a lot of times things are a little bit more difficult. So we're giving these students the experience already of dealing with this material that might not always work, which giving them troubleshooting and problem solving skills, because that's a major thing that we're giving in this program. When it's not working, why is it not working? How can we make it work? One of the things that I did with these students in one of my exams, we just finished off a really interesting lab about plant pigments. They had done a lab on chromatography using columns to isolate material. And I told them, okay, now we make it practical. Go and find out your own technique to make the best color out of plants. Get your plants, go outside, get your plants, figure the protocols out. I gave them some basic protocols to use. I gave them some techniques to use. Now go and troubleshoot. Figure out which one works best. So that's sort of our teaching style that we have at ACC anyway, and especially in the biotechnology field. We're giving students the opportunity to learn, an opportunity to fail and succeed, because those are the things that we need to do. We always need to fail, and we need to figure out how to succeed after that. And that's basically what Michelle and me basically decide as our goal for our students.
Absolutely. So the CCP pathway, those students in high school come out with 15 credits already completed by the time they graduate from high school, college level credits that are transferable. And that is equivalent to our basic lab technique certificate. Bioinformatics is really mostly under the IT department. So you do take courses in programming and database analysis, and then that's coupled with our basic lab techniques course. So you get a little bit of understanding of how things function in the lab, but then you also get that IT background, which is critical right now in the sciences. They need data scientists, even in biotech and pharmaceutical industry. So that's a hot area. And then we're also going to be offering industry specific certificates in addition to that process tech certification at the state level. So those will be coming when we enter into our new facility, hopefully, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So what can you do with this degree? There are so many different opportunities. So some of our graduates go into become QA or QC technicians or analysts. That is quality, and that's a huge component of the industry. Quality assurance is making sure all the documentation is correct and everything has been filled in properly. They kind of oversee the entire production facility. And then quality control is making sure everybody's meeting specific standards. So they're checking at different points along the production process to make sure that that product is as pure and as safe as it should be. So a lot of our graduates go into that type of work. Another opportunity is pharmaceutical manufacturing. So we have many different manufacturing companies. They're referred to as biomanufacturing companies in the state. Merck, Biogen, Pfizer, they're doing vaccine production. I'm sure you recognize some of those big names that have come out with our COVID vaccines. And a new hot area is gene therapy, and that's actually creating viral vectors that they could insert into people to correct genetic mutations. So they may be very rare disorders and congenital diseases, but we're now able to correct some of those genetic diseases through gene therapy. There's been a lot of success with that. Process technician is another example. So that's really part of the pharmaceutical manufacturing process. And then we kind of divide it out into two different areas. Upstream is always working with the living organisms. So we refer to that as cell culture. And that's where you're growing up the organisms that are making the product. And then downstream processing is where you're purifying or isolating or taking that product out of that cell. And that's used in all of our different medications, from vaccines to therapeutics to antibodies and antibiotics. This is kind of our general layout of the 2-year program. So the first fall semester, I'm not going to go through everything, but the first fall semester is equivalent to our basic lab techniques certificate. So you actually get that certificate within your first semester or 2. So we try to build you what's called stackable credentials so that you're earning these different certificates, and especially that BioWork certification is also an industry standard at this point. So it is easy as a full-time student to get through the program in 2 years. It does require some summer classes in order to complete that. But many of our students are part-time, so there's no pressure to get through all that in 2 years. If you're not interested in going into industry, or maybe you want to continue your education in addition to working, we have many 2+2 agreements. Those are agreements with 4-year institutions throughout the state, and you can see the list of them at the bottom. We have an agreement with NC Central's Pharmaceutical Science Program. That's the BRIGHT program, and you can see their beautiful building over on the right here. That's a fantastic facility, and that's located in Durham, North Carolina. ECU, we have an agreement with their industrial technology that gives you a bachelor's of science in industrial technology, or even the biology. That was a recent agreement with their biology department. So you can earn a bachelor's of science degree with ECU, and that's in Greenville, North Carolina. We are working on an NC State agreement in their bioprocessing food science department. And UNCG will transfer in to their biology department, and you can receive either a BA or BS, as you heard earlier with Caroline Diaz. Eddie, do you want to take over industry?
Yes, so industry in North Carolina, we are one of the major industries for biotech. So there's several hubs in the US, and North Carolina, especially the Research Triangle, is one of the big hubs. But also here where I live in Greensboro, there's also quite a lot of industry there. We are centrally located, so we can go either way to Greensboro or to Durham and that area. So there's a lot available out there. And there's more and more coming, like Eddie Ade said in the beginning. Fuji is just starting a new big firm out here where we have hundreds of people coming there. Other companies are thinking about coming to North Carolina as well. We have a really good biopharmaceutical industry. Merck, other parts are over here. We have big centers for biotechnology there. So we're all coming here. The salaries, we have quite a lot of good pay. Eddie Ade was already saying about what he's making this year, or approximately making this year. So this is growing. At this moment, we are in a big surge of biotechnology fields and everything to do with biotechnology, biomanufacturing, biopharmaceuticals. We are growing tremendously because we're coming out now with COVID vaccines. COVID vaccines are being created. This gives us opportunity to go into more vaccines production. Like Michelle was saying, we're doing research together with all the universities in Durham and the universities here in other parts of North Carolina on new biomanufacturing products. She was talking about the viral vectors, where you actually infect yourself by a little spray in the nose with your medicine. The medicine will then go into the body. They're very close to finishing it up for insulin. So that would be a good breakthrough. So all of these things are being done there. And when you're in the industry, since this is such a big growing field, and I think these numbers are a little bit underplaying what is going at this moment, because the last couple of months we've been in a tremendous surge because of our COVID vaccines and COVID facilities, that we see this huge breakthrough. We see more and more companies that do the quick screens. They come knocking on our door almost every few weeks, talking about, can we get more students? We need more students. We need more people to do this entry-level work, which is lots of times already about $20, $25 an hour. So that's not bad to start off with. So all of that is growing, and this is the 4th highest growth in the country. A lot of industry actually coming from other parts of the US into this area to grow here. International partners are coming. A lot more industry is coming with a lot more high-paying jobs. We've been talking to Merck. They came in, they're starting a new building where they're going to have hundreds of new people needed. And this is all because the biotechnology field is growing because it has such a big potential out there. It's almost unlimited, the amount of things that we can do. And North Carolina Biopharma is basically the perfect place for it. In Northeast, it's too expensive. The weather is not really good. California, well, nobody wants to go to California because it will disappear in an earthquake and it's very, very expensive. Central part of the US, there is not much infrastructure there. We got airports, we got harbors, we got good roads, we got trains. So that's why people come here. We have the infrastructure, we got a good, stable political climate here in North Carolina as well, which is really helpful. We got great colleges, including our own, but also our other big colleges that are around here. Probably everybody knows about the Blue Devils, where they're coming from. That's a major university. Wake Forest is a major university. UNC, great system in general. So we've got great education, and great education is also pulling in these high-tech industries. So there's a big pool in the high-tech industry that goes everywhere, that's coming in here where everybody wants to be.
Let me add just one more thing. I hope you can hear me. My microphone's acting up. Another thing that I just wanted to mention is what we hear over and over and over again from biotech companies that come and visit or that we talk to is one of the main reasons they locate in North Carolina is because of the talent. And that means that there is a workforce both at community college level, at the four-year degree, at graduate level degree. So they're looking at that broad spectrum that they can fill these different positions from an entry-level technician position all the way up to a senior manager. And that's a critical component for a lot of this industry. The next part is really exciting. I'll do this one, Eddie, because I'm so excited about it.
That's good. Go ahead.
All right.
I'm excited about it as well.
I know. So coming in the next year, we have a brand new Biotechnology Center of Excellence. It's a 35,000 square foot facility. You can see some of the images or artist renditions below or on this slide here. We'll have an entire suite of labs on the second floor that will house a simulated clean room, a biomanufacturing suite, a large general laboratory, and support space where we do a lot of our prep and a lot of our higher end equipment is going to be housed. And we'll also have a histotechnology lab. So that's another program that will be housed full time in the Biotech Center of Excellence. On the first floor, there will be classroom space. There's a lot of student lounge areas where students can study or take a break from class and have lunch, which we don't have right now. So we're really excited about that. And there's an outdoor classroom you can see on the lower left screen. And that will be available for outdoor classes. So there's kind of stadium seating over there at the end. And we could also host events and have speakers come in. So we're really excited about engaging our community and getting to know basically Alamance County a little bit better through the open plan of this new building.
And the groundbreaking is coming real soon.
Yes, we're breaking ground in May. Do you want to do the summary?
Sure. So in summary, we basically do a lot of hands-on requirements. So we give you a lot of hands-on education, more actually than any of the other similar programs that are out there. We give over 700 hours of benchtop experience. And like I said before, our benchtop experience is not just do this experiment, here is all the equipment and it will work. It's basically like, here's the protocol, and these are similar protocols that you use in science. And this can be either industry or it can also be research science, and make it work and keep the right data there. We do a lot of data. We actually using little Chromebooks where you can keep all your data on. We keep your lab notebooks because that's how they work in industry. Everything needs to be written. Everything needs to be written down. If you don't write it down, it doesn't happen. So those are the things that we're doing over there. We have different programs. So we have all of these different programs, from the program high school diploma to our other programs that we have. So our certificate programs, to our basic lab techniques, to our advanced aseptic techniques, where you actually learn to use complete sterile conditions, work under complete sterile conditions, where you work with mammalian cell cultures, which are really, really hard to do because they're really easy to contaminate. So you learn how to work under really sterile conditions, how to use advanced techniques. We use high-end equipment like an HPLC, which is to use for analytics, but we also teach you how to work on a gene sequencer. We got a small little gene sequencer which we use a lot. You do PCR, the techniques that you use for COVID testing. We do those kinds of things as well. We don't do the COVID testing, but the techniques behind it. I'm actually using it to figure out if something is a gram-positive or gram-negative bacteria. But the motions, these things that we do, is very similar to what you see in the workforce. And that's basically where we're going for. We're teaching you the things needed for the workforce. And that's the program.
So we are also really focused on career development. So in your final semester, we help you develop a resume. We usually have someone from the pharmaceutical industry that comes in to help you develop that resume, help you develop a LinkedIn profile, which is key nowadays, and to help with job placement. So every quarter, so 3 times a year, we have a virtual career, right now it's virtual, a career fair offered where we have all these biotech companies come in and are waiting to speak with students that are ready to graduate or graduates that have already finished. They have job openings and they are hungry for employees. So that happens 3 times a year. We're really excited about that. BioNetwork puts that on and partners with us. So we have a really good placement rate with our students. We're reaching about 80 to 100% of our graduates are employed within 6 months of graduation. And some of our students even receive offers before they finish. So they are able to work with that company and have flexible hours at the beginning when they're training in order to finish up our program. Finally, we have a virtual tour of our facility, and just forgive our goofy professors in this video.
Hi, welcome to the Biotechnology Department at Alamance Community College. Come on in.
Follow me, we're going to the biomanufacturing suite. Welcome to the biomanufacturing suite. Here we are actually going to run our samples in things like bioreactors. We got a small bioreactor here. This allows us to grow our material, get our proteins out when needed. These proteins can then be purified on here. This is an HPLC. These can detect very minute fragments of molecules. It can really detect really small amounts. We use it to purify GFP, but also to look at caffeine. Over here, we got a smaller brother of the HPLC. This is an FPLC. It's not built up at this moment, but this is basically where we do affinity chromatography and other materials to basically make sure that we can purify before it goes into the HPLC. Then over here,
This is our ELISA plate reader. So we have the ability to detect fluorescence and luminescence to run a variety of different assays on cells and proteins and other molecules.
and then over here, our last equipment that we want to show you today. Here we got our big bioreactor. This bioreactor basically mimics the equipment that's in the industry. So here we teach you how to work with big bioreactors used in industry for instance, pharmaceutical creation of vaccines and other material.
BDC 181 is our entry-level class. Here we're going to introduce the students to what you do in a laboratory, such as using equipment, making solutions, working under sterile conditions, and all that kind of interesting techniques that you're going to use in your higher level courses. BDC 281, also known as bioprocessing, shows the students the importance of proper paperwork, what we need when we are working in the pharmaceutical industry or in the food industry. We also show you the techniques used in these fields, such as fermentation, but also using a bioprocessor.
Another course we offer at Alamance Community College is immunology. In this course, you learn how the human immune system works and fights off infection. We learn the different processes involved in vaccine production. We learn how therapeutics are developed and manufactured in order to help patients with genetic disorders and other diseases. And we also learn the techniques involved in rapid testing and assays. Those assays and tests help us identify different diseases, such as COVID-19, and identifying whether or not someone is pregnant. Our capstone course at Alamance Community College is Advanced Molecular Techniques. In this course, you use all of the skills you have developed over the last year to two in our program. We focus on genetic engineering, DNA cloning, PCR, and also next-gen sequencing. This analysis is used in our industry with the ancestry analysis, and that's the 23andMe project. We have a close partnership with a business that is local that does that testing. So you're learning industry techniques that are cutting edge in this course. Finally, you would do an internship or a special project. That's in your very last semester, and we help place you in the correct location so that you can complete the mandatory hours that are required for that final course. All of these courses are offered annually at Alamance Community College. Check us out at alamancecc.edu.
Hi, welcome to the Biotechnology Department at Alamance Community College. Come on in.
I don't think we want to watch that again. All right. Well, if there's anybody here that's remaining, if you have any questions, you can either type them in the chat or ask them by unmuting yourself. I'm going to create a breakout room, and Miss Ashley Pryor is going to monitor that. If anybody has any questions about admissions, and Dr. Van Hoenick and I will stay in this room if anybody has any questions about advising or would like to set up an appointment with us for advising. So I will let you choose whichever room you would like to be in.